Check it out, boys. So I screwed this in place once, and I'm guessing Unicorn's meant for that to split that, because once I did that, everything kind of made sense, because I couldn't get this drip rail past the quarter panel. And I'm just gonna screw it up tight for now. And then even the rocker turned out, the panel gap at the bottom turned out good. The rear part is just floating, so it's kind of, it is resting on that piece under there, just about perfect, to be honest. Which, once we get the final fitment, I'll probably clearance that so it's not rubbing. Well, I got a little cut happy, and I cut more off when I had the camera off, but yeah, I decided, so like when I put the quarters on, and when this was all the way back here, the quarter was resting on it and like kind of denting the quarter. So I'm just gonna cap these shut. They're a little flimsy. I took the package tray out against my better judgment. We'll see if that screws me, but it really doesn't matter because this stuff just kind of floats inside anyway, and we'll make the back all square and stuff as we build it all back in. I got the rear bumper tacked in. The rear taillight panel basically butts smack up against it, so all good. So the last bit of stuff I have to do on this back end is cut off. I'm gonna cut these old stock wheel tubs out, and I'm gonna leave this much of the stock wheel tub. I might cut it back, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna get some, have the local weld shop roll me some wheel tubs, so it'll be just a lot easier, and I can just tie right into them, and then we'll figure out how to bump them into the quarters yet. Normally we just buy the wheel tubs. I mean, if not normally, because I don't do this often, but on the quarter panels, the wheel tub is meant to weld onto the slip. Well, once we slam the car, we're going to be cutting a few inches up, and then the flare is going to go on it too. So I think we'll just roll a wheel tub that matches that inner, or that new radius on that quarter. So what I'm going to work on is get that cleaned off, get it all prepped for new steel. I'm probably going to clean this in a straight line, get all this crap off of it, clean all this out, all this metal, get it all cleaned up and prepped, and I'm gonna pour 15 all this, so we don't, it's all behind eyes, and we don't want it to start rusting sooner than the rest of, well, hopefully none of it rusts, but we'll get that all cleaned up, and then we can start punching holes in all our sheet metal and get them ready for spot welds. You can kind of see I've had it mocked up already. I don't think I recorded it. I might have. We'll have to go back and double check. This side drip rail fits pretty good. I'll probably have to trim a little off. We're gonna have to form a new inner seal lip for right here. I bought a shrinker stretcher. I never used one before. Be a learning experience. And then this side, I think we need to do some adjusting. I don't know if the roof is just sitting lower, or I do notice that there's a little more of a gap in here. So maybe we'll try and rotate this forward just a little bit. And we gotta pop this back off, because if you remember, there's still a rust hole right there. We'll get that filled in. And but right now I'm just gonna work on zipping that stuff off, wire wheel and all this stuff. And I'm not gonna make you sit through that, so I'll just get it prepped and ready to rock, and I'll bring you back with me. Well, I think I'm finally done cutting. A lot of cleaning to do, but here, got all this cut out. So basically I can meld new wheel tubs to the height that we dropped the car. Got the dash set in here. Found a couple more clearance issues with that stupid wiper motor stuff that I will eventually get back to and probably make its own little segment because it sucks so bad. I did end up cutting even more, but it kind of makes sense. So I got rid of that part. It came down like this, rolled this up, trimmed that all clean, and I'll punch. That's where I'll put my spot welds for my wheel tub. And then we'll have to roll that corner back in, make it work with the new fender flares and such, get it all closed off from the outside. Good thing is, I can put all this stuff in without the wheel tubs, because the wheel tubs won't go in until after I make my cut for my flares and get the car lowered. So I can get all this back in, and I can actually pour 15 all this through the wheel well in those openings. So my concern was that I was going to be, I still have to weld in here, and with that pour 15 it was just going to melt it back off. So a little bit of wire wheeling to do on that side and a couple of spot welds to get the rest of that inner tub out. Get these out, those drilled out. It's all loose. Get the rest of this cleaned up, patch that one hole over there, and I think we'll be ready to start punching holes in all the sheet metal so we can get it back on the car and tacked in place, at least screwed back into place. I do have to figure out, get out my angle gauge and make sure that that bumper is level with the chassis. Alright, so we got some stuff prepped up. I gotta come in with the buffer and knock down some of this built up rust. And we're gonna throw some of this weld through primer on. That way everything underneath the panels that we weld in will be primed and we don't have to worry about it rusting out right away. And then once this is all shut, we'll reach inside of here on the back side and pour 15 everything. So, but we also still got to weld in that part of the car to this portion of the car. But I don't want to do that till I work on my wheel tubs. So if you've been drilling out all your spot weld holes, highly recommend spending the money and buying one of these bad boys from Harbor Freight. It's a flanger and a hole punch. Knock out all those holes. And they do a nice clean hole in like a minute. Alright, so we got this quarter panel screwed on. There's no support to the rear, so it just kind of hangs. But I made sure that it's flat on the bottom here, all the way. I use this tube to kind of bump that up. I'm not worried about denting that because I'm going to cut it out anyway. And then when I had it in here, I screwed the top, and I noticed that this needed pushed in a lot. So I put another screw back in it, got all my spot welds ready to rip. And then I got the top screwed in where it was when I test fitted it last time. I'm not gonna weld anything up here because just in case the drip rail for whatever reason doesn't line up this time. So I'm working on getting these quarters set in on both sides, square and centered. We got to do a little bit of verifying. My floor isn't quite flat, so there's a chance that the car's tipped, so I can't use the same theory that I just need to put that in to get it flat. But there's other things we can do. Check the body for level, put something across the back, make it level, kind of thing. So let's work on this side. I've already got cleaned up. Just gotta shoot some primer on it. It's all ready to go. And then we'll get this side on. We'll pull this drip rail off, and we still have a patch to do under here. Is the reason why I'm pulling those off. And they'll finish cleaning all this. I've got a lot of it cleaned up. All this rust off and get it pour 15 while the roof is off. But it's not a huge deal right now because the roof is going to be the last thing I put on. So I didn't know if I told you before, but all these panels are the weld through primer. So technically they're already primed. I probably will go back on the inside and spray like a rubber coat on the whole inside after everything's closed up, just to kind of first off kill like that tingy sound of the body, you know, this, kill some of that a little bit, and help kind of preserve that primer. I did notice on the outside that we do have a little bit of surface rust popping through, which is concerning. So I wouldn't be surprised if I end up DAing most of that back off just to be safe. Because the last thing I want to do is paint a car and have to redo it when I already don't like painting or body work or any of that. So I said, like you said before, we had already test fitted most of this, but there's something we're not going to do before we verify a couple things. So we got the rear filler panel in, but we are not going to weld anything until we 100% fit everything again, just in case. So there can be some issues with, I didn't have these quarter extensions bolted on, so the trunk might not have been square when I set it on there. And judging by the way this thing fits, I'm not 100% certain it is square. So you can see the gap here. Go to the other side, and it's full up, but on both sides. But then there's a gap here, but not on that side. So it's just a trial and error kind of thing. I'm sure. Another thing we got to do is pop this back off, make sure that the shape of it is actually right. Once we get the filler panels on, or the extensions on, and then we can punch a hole in that for spot welds too and get it screwed back on. So, but all progress is progress. You got this on here, keeps splitting out, but it's a nice fit. Could probably go down a little bit, but not super worried about that at the moment until we get this rear. Then as we get things put in place, we can kind of shimmy it and get it level, and everything will be drilled already, so we'll be able to actually start plugging the holes. And as we start welding it, it'll start getting strong right off the bat, I'm sure. I haven't done this a lot, or barely at all, but it makes sense, because just like a building, the more screws you put in across it starts to get more rigid. So we'll just keep plugging away and getting these panels back on and prep for final burn. So good news, I had put these 3 self tappers in the last time I fit together, and with the blocks under the tires, I just had to skim them out and it dropped right into place and didn't even barely move. So that means it's exactly where it was when I test fitted it, which is great, because this side originally only had like 1 screw in it, and I left the top loose because it was like really far away. So it must have, after moving stuff around, it must have went to where it's supposed to be. So there is only one downfall to this, and I think this bottom chunk of this tube is actually in the way of this filler panel coming down. After the bumper goes here, but below that. So we will see, and we will adjust if it is. Worst case, I'll pop it loose and move it upwards, because it's just tacked right here. Alright, check out this fitment. Obviously there's no seal under it, so it's sunk a little bit. Got this end bolted on. A little bit of gap here because there's a screw down there, but gap looks good across the front. Side gaps look good. I haven't measured that distance, but I have a measurement for where it's supposed to be. I can't remember what it is, but and then throw the roof skin on, and then we'll measure the distance from here to there and make sure it's right. And then while the roof skin's on, there's some little pegs right here. I'll do a measurement from one of those up on both sides to make sure that this panel is not twisted. But judging by this, it's not. It's just the way they cut it is weird or something. So unless one quarter panel is further forward or backwards than the other, which is possible because these cars were originally hand built, so there's a chance that this B-pillar measurement is different than that side, and I haven't even checked it. And honestly, I probably won't, because I didn't cut the bottom loose, so it is where it is, kind of thing. So as long as our height is the same on both sides and it's level with the rest of the car, I think I'm good with it. So we're just about to the point where I gotta take some more stuff off and punch it, get it prepped. But we're almost to the point where we can start popping in these spot welds. But I want to get the roof skin on and in place and make sure this overlay is good on this roof skin. And then make sure I gotta patch this clean that up a little bit and get these drip rails in before I weld anything off as well, just to make sure I'm not gonna screw myself down the road on that. So, but looking pretty good, I think. And spot welding this out shouldn't take very long at all. Obviously we're gonna have a lot more structure work to do since I pretty much cut the whole back of the car off. As you can see, so I'm gonna basically, the arch is gonna get moved up because we're gonna slam the car down. We'll put wheel subs in. That back section kind of just stays empty, but the lower part gets filled in, and I did a panel right there. I tried cutting it out of the old car and it ended up being rotted out and everything else, or out of the old rear end. They were 25 bucks, snagged them up. So get that, and then we got to do some filler work to get to those. I trimmed everything back so it was all nice and even. So we're just not working as hard, just working with old stuff. So we'll just trim that off and then drop a new panel in place and spot weld it in and start filling in the back. I am planning on cutting out the spare tire and bringing that floor up and the canister and everything with it, because it does hang pretty low, as you can see. So, and I don't plan on carrying a spare tire in this car. And it'll give us maybe some options for potentially like a center exhaust or something cool like that. So just kind of weighing my options. And then I need to figure out what I'm going to do with these vents yet. And these vents and my rockers. I think the rockers are going to get kind of like almost like a little bit of a flip out, because the flares are going to stick out a good ways. So, but it's all in process. We still have all the dash bar stuff to get knocked out and all this.